This is an odd one for me because I sat on this for a little bit. I read it. I did like it, and I was also indifferent about it. And that is Marvel's Ultimate Endgame #1. So, if I cover something, I like it, definitely not a complaint. But here's what I want to say. Marvel, again, not a complaint, but you have to acknowledge truth. Marvel is behind the power curve when it comes to comic book stories. They're behind DC, they're behind Image, namely Skybound and Ghost Machine. There's a lot of companies they're behind. Their art is okay. They have some artists that I think maybe need some more work on smaller titles under their belt before they get into some of the bigger titles. But on art, they're doing okay. But stories, DC has them, Skybound has them. And this is one of those stories where, as I read it, I said, okay, this was good depending on the direction they go. They could go in a direction that would take this book right here and give you a different view on it. Again, depending on the direction they go. But I enjoyed it. So I decided to do something I haven't done in a little bit, maybe in a few weeks. I haven't done this. I'm going to go to comicbookroundup.com. I'm going to take the best review, see what that best review says, see what I agree with, what I don't agree with, and then take the worst review. The worst review was pretty bad. I don't think this book was that bad. The best review gave it high praises, and I don't think it was necessarily there. This is a solid book that I don't think you'll be displeased with, but you will wonder, okay, where are they going with this? So let's get into this from comicbookroundup.com. The first or the highest, well, there's several reviews that are a 10. I'll just go with the latest one. And this book, of course, a couple weeks old, came out the last week of December 2025. Obviously, we're in January. And I think the next book comes out February 4th, if I'm not mistaken. So let's read this full review right here. This is Josh Allen, Fanlight Zone. Never heard of this site. He gave it a 10. I'm not sure I would put this there, as I've already said. I'm going to read his final points because as a matter of fact, I was going to read the final points. Let me read the whole thing. The story. The build up to this moment has been such a well-crafted path, and the anticipation has been so high that the expectations for it could not be higher. Deniz Camp has been an absolute master storyteller and has been on a legendary run with the Ultimate Universe. That run continues with this series, and I really cannot wait to see how this plays out. I kind of wish Jonathan Hickman was the one writing Ultimate Endgame. I think Jonathan Hickman's storytelling ability has a broader appeal, and for good reason. I think it's just his entire approach to storytelling is, I don't want to say traditional, but he has a textbook style that just works, in my humble opinion. We get things started with a glimpse into some of the earliest moments of the maker's involvement with this universe. For a long time, readers, and especially those familiar with the maker before this run, it's not at all a surprising scene. However, it does a great job reiterating just how ruthless he can be. The issue really picks up with Iron Lad, Doctor Doom, America Chavez, Spider-Man travel to Latveria just 10 minutes before the Maker is set to return. Things are already in full swing around the globe, with citizens rising up and overthrowing their Maker controlled governments and declared allegiance to the Ultimates. Once the proverbial clock hits zero, it all kicks off. Dennis wastes no time really setting the tone for how the rest of the series is going to go. It is fast paced. Excuse me. I'll give him that. It's fast paced. It gives you a good backdrop and it does get to the action. Okay. And showing that even the best laid plans often go awry. Dennis really shines through in this moment, right to the end of the issue. A twist that I didn't expect. I will say that the end of the issue really did have a twist. Well, I would say two twists that I wasn't expecting, but wasn't totally caught off guard by. Gives readers a nice moment. That is before the real twist of the issue that left me floored. And I genuinely had no idea where Deniz Camp is going to be taking this series and the universe overall. But if there's anyone I have complete faith in guiding the story, it's him. He's honestly the best writer Marvel has right now. It's a generational run he's putting on that I don't know if we'll see replicated anytime soon. Okay, again, I'm not a complaint channel, but I will disagree with this statement wholeheartedly. And I will say the best writer I have seen at Marvel, and it's not even close, not even close, is Hickman. I don't even I don't even know if it's possible to debate that, really. Humbly speaking. Okay, the artwork. There's a lot of folks who worked on the art for this issue, and they all did a tremendous job. He put the, I'm assuming he meant they. The artwork during the prologue was so crazy and unsettling, but it worked so perfectly for who the maker is. He's diabolical, unconventional, and ruthless. He's supposed to make you feel unsettled when you see him, and the art in the prologue does just that. The art was very solid. Very solid. I will give it that. It wasn't anything that's going to blow your mind, but it wasn't disappointing art. And I enjoy that. I enjoy just solid quality art. This is something that I wish. Sometimes I think some comic book companies are looking for the rock star, and sometimes that just doesn't play out like they think it's going to play out. I think if they just find the solid artists they can cultivate and help those artists grow, I think that'll generate a better outcome, in my humble opinion. So let's go to his final thoughts. Just when you think you've got things figured out, Deniz Camp changes the script. An incredible issue that is sure to have readers buzzing from the very start of the issue, together with artwork that keeps the familiar feeling you're used to, but with some great personal touches put on it by the artist. This is an issue that should be at the top of your reading list. I wouldn't say that. This is what I would say about this issue. There's some comic books you open and you read a couple pages, then you're like, yeah, I don't think I'm interested, and you close it. This is a book that I think you will read all the way through and go, that was entertaining. This was a decent showing. So now let's go. So he gave it a 10 out of 10. I definitely wouldn't give it that. So now let's go to the worst review. And this is bad. 5 out of 10, I'm guessing. Weird Science Marvel Comics.com. So, first impressions. The opening sequence grabbed immediate attention with a flashback depicting the Maker murdering King Zuras of the Eternals in a cold, calculated display of power. The premise felt weighty and consequential, setting the stage for a story about worlds colliding and certainty meeting chaos. But pretty quickly, the momentum scattered across too many subplots and locations, diluting the impact of what should have been a cohesive, driving narrative. Now, that I will agree about the opening sequence. I don't think what you saw in the oncoming pages was chaotic. I think you just had a lot of things going on because we've been building up to this event, the return of the maker. So there was a bunch of different things being shown across the world to kind of paint a picture of the entire overall story. So that didn't necessarily throw me off like it did for this person. So I want to go to his final verdict. Yeah, that's what I want to get to. Final verdict. Ultimate Endgame #1 is a comic that makes ambition or that mistakes ambition for execution. The premise of coordinating a global uprising while the maker returns has real potential, and the personal stakes for Spider-Man land emotionally. But the issue squanders its biggest moments by delivering a cryptic, confusing non answer when readers needed clarity and impact. The rushed artwork from the Dodsons underscores the feeling of a comic that didn't have time to breathe or think. Unless you're completely caught up on the ultimate line and prepared to wait for next month's answers, this issue asks you to pay $5.99 for the privilege of being confused. It's ambitious, sure, but ambition without execution just leaves you frustrated. I don't know if I was as mad about this book or had as a negative view of this book as this person here. So between those two reviews, I will tell you what I would give this book. Between those two reviews, I would give Ultimate Endgame #1 a solid 6.8. It wasn't a terrible book. It wasn't a book that you have to buy, but it is a book that if you do buy, you're not going to be disappointed reading this book. I will say they what what happens in Ultimate Endgame #2 will alter what I think about Ultimate Endgame #1, positive or negative, depending on where they go with it. It's one of those kind of books, but it's a solid read. You won't be disappointed, but it's not something you necessarily have to go out and grab. That's my thoughts.